Hello, Christian Livingstone here, and I just finished a project, and it went well. So this is the intro, but I've already completed the project, and it was on a Dixon Zero-Turn lawnmower that I use, and I've done a lot of videos on it, and there's other videos that are more comprehensive for this specific things like changing the cones on the transaxle. Dixon's this type and vintage don't use hydraulics for their zero-turn actions. It's one of the earliest ones, and I've got one. They're pretty much obsolete now, but you can still keep them going, and you can keep them going cheaply, without too much expense, and you can obtain these mowers inexpensively as well. Seems like routinely people, will ask me if I want to buy one because they see me driving one and they've already upgraded to hydraulic units, and they got these old Dixons out back in the weeds or something. I got a friend who says he'll give one to me free. I said, take a picture, I want to see it first. But this is like, I'm calling it a maintenance super cycle. For several years I really haven't had to do anything on this mower. I did some things just because I could and were fun adds to it, but this time I just intuitively knew that it's time to take a deep dive. I'll touch all the bases, and sure enough I did. I went through the motor lightly and then changed a few things, and noticed a few things, and gave it the once over twice. And also the deck. I had some bearings I bought about a year ago because that's when they seemed to be reasonable. Thank you, China. They were $26 for a pack of 6, and these were good quality bearings with those stainless steel seals on it. They're kind of hard to pluck out. And previously, when I put that bigger deck on the mower, I didn't change out the bearings because at that time, this was, I don't know, 10 years ago, all I could find was, bearings about $22 a piece. So whatever happened, China brought to market some very affordable, inflation fighting prices on bearings, good bearings. So I had some on hand, for a little while. And so I decided, I'll go down that rabbit hole too, even though the deck was doing fine. January 2026, and I'm getting an early start on, getting the mower ready. It's been low maintenance for so long, and I knew, that it was calling for some refreshing of bearings and things, and not bad. I could probably go another season without it, but I decided to drop the deck, and as you can see, it's on the bench here, and here are the bearings. I've had them for a while, but I decided to put them in because I found a really good deal on bearings. Now, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago when I put that deck on this mower, it's not the original deck, it's a little larger, I got it real cheap. It was $20. It was in somebody's yard just laying out there. It needed some attention, and I gave it to it, but the bearings were still good, and I didn't refresh them because the price of them at that time was about $22 a piece, and this deck has 3 spindle sets, so that's 2, 4, 6 bearings, and that was over $100 just for the bearings, and it really didn't call for it. And but recently I found, thank you, China, the whole set of the bearings, half dozen bearings, just like that one right there. They've got a collar on them. You just don't use that collar. It's stepped up a little, but that's the type of bearings that were costing $22 to $25 like 10 years ago. And lo and behold, now I can get a good set for $26. I think that was the selling price for the whole 6-pack of those. So I was real happy to find them at that price, and so I'm going to put them in this season, and it's a good thing too. I dropped the deck, and there is that middle spindle mandrel set, there is a little wiggle in the blades there. So, you know, I think this one, not at all. It seemed quite sound. This one had a little gappiness, but you know, the deck always ran smooth, and but it'll be even smoother now. I'm not going to really take you through the step-by-step of putting the bearings in, but any high points, any tips that I encounter, I'll pass them along. And another good reason to be down under here on the mower itself is the chain. You know, I removed the idler, the factory idler on this, you know, a dozen or so years ago, because I just didn't like it. It was a sloppy idler, and it's kind of spring-loaded. And I've done a couple of methods to keep the chain tight, but you know, chains stretch, and it's a little sloppy now. It's never dropped off, but it will if I don't correct that too. So, and so I'm going to just give it the once over, and I don't know if I'll do it or not this season. I don't think it's really called for. This has those cone drive. This is a friction drive transaxle system, and you know, not many people know how to really refurbish them. I've done it, the cones, twice, and I might do it a third time because it's been 8 or so years, and I did a really fairly comprehensive video on it. I don't think there's anyone out there other than that one that really shows you how to do that, you know, well. So, you know, I'm not going to, you know, redo all of that, but there are some things I might want to talk about, more tips and tricks, not a comprehensive, you know, step-by-step how-to, but just an overview. You know, I like these mowers. I think they're great. And I might just revamp these systems, the chain drive, the friction drive, and the bearings under the unit. So, yeah, I'm having fun. I'm getting an early start because I use this mower a lot. I used it more on the around the corner at my old neighborhood. That all those homes and properties were single-family home properties, and you know, I rented a cottage it was subdivided into its own property, but you know, I'd mow for people over there. And but right now I'm in this apartment complex. I maintain the grounds on this small 4-unit complex, but you know, otherwise I got no other takers for mowing properties. They all have their own people that do their units, and so, you know, I'm going to just refresh this a bit. Okay, there's all the spindles, fresh bearings, repacked, grease in the spindles as well. And now these idler pulleys, I like these poly ones because, you know, you can actually get the seals out. These are those vinyl seals I was talking about. They can be plucked out very easily with a little edge blade of some kind, and then you can repack these bearings. And so that's handy. On the steel idler pulleys, the ones with the flat side that go against the back of the belt, the steel ones you can't. They just somehow you just can't get to them, and but these poly ones you can. And so this one sounds pretty good. I did try to pluck that one out, but it wouldn't allow you to do it somehow. But on this one, it was a little noisier, and it was a little gummed up with the grease, and so I'm just gonna refresh it, repack it. And so, you know, bearings can be fun. I do kind of enjoy doing this stuff, and it's going well. I needed a new belt as well. I got that now, so we'll just get to it. And here's the deck all complete. It needed a belt, got fresh bearings all around, and I bore a hole up top here. This cover I made many years ago, and That was when I was using 1/2-inch belts, and with the 1/2-inch belt, you know, you could put it on over this nut here, and it would slip over without having to remove that. But with the 5/8 belts, no, not so much. So with this hole up top, it will scooch over now without having to remove this. Otherwise, yeah, it's just what it appears. Okay, here's the deck, all done. Underneath, the undercoating, sharpen the blades, tune them, and let me set this, see if I can just, better, before I flip this, let me put this camera down. But I did notice it smoother, maybe a little quieter after the new bearing, so I'm glad I did it at the time I did it. But even more than that, kind of the third phase in this super cycle was the friction drive transaxle. These older Dixons aren't made anymore. They're not labeled anymore. Husqvarna bought Dixon in 2006, and they continued to be produced under the Dixon name, but and those were hydraulic units, not these friction drives. I think the last friction drives, they made them for some years, stopped for a little bit, and then started making them again. So I think as late as, I don't know, 2001 or so, they were being produced. Okay, here's my YouTube channel, New Jerusalem Times, one word with caps, as you can see there. This is how it appears, but let's just pull out all the videos, or actually the highlighted ones. This is really the one to watch if you're gonna you know, put some new cones in your unit and some of the things that you'll encounter. This is one you know, making it better, and this is one upgrading the mower. There's a few other you know, Dixon videos, and I think they're all worth watching. If you're an enthusiast, if you have a Dixon mower, you're going to want to watch those. Like this one here. This one's a pretty good one too. This one, how to quiet it down too. How to weld the cradle mechanisms. You know, TIG welding. It's all in here, and removing that idler. You know, that might not have been such a good thing to do, but I'm doing other things now. You know, how to make it start better. How to put on a bigger deck. So there's some groovy stuff in here, and other things that I like to do. So, you know, if you have an interest in the Dixon stuff, and a lot of my rationales go into it, because Dixon is becoming more obsolete. But I think there's still, you know, if you're mechanically savvy, you want to save some money and have a zero-turn, you can get them for cheap. You can repair them cheaply enough. You know, there is the eBay. eBay, you can still get parts for them, but they come in, you know, kind of packages or kits to refurbish your friction drive cone transaxle system. Let me just pull it up real quick and see. My internet's running a little slow right now. Dixon cones kit. That even type. Look how slow. Yeah. But there's some pretty good values, but you know, it's not as extensive as, you know, there used to be a website where you could get virtually all the parts. But that is no more as far as I can tell. So eBay, it's got, you know, somebody out there has got a niche for you know, selling these kits. This is what you'd need to rebuild a transaxle. And, you know, the price keeps going up a little bit, so you know, there's that. Yeah, sometimes you used to be able to get the whole transaxle for, you know, $200 because they were new, you know, old stock, and some people just didn't like keeping them on their shelves any longer, so they just blew them out, the whole thing. But you can see that the parts are available. And the kits keep going up. They're about $100 a cone now, so I was getting them at $80 in my last go around. Now they're 100, full blown 100. And those bearings, like I just put in the deck, I got half a dozen of them for $26 or whatever it was. Very reasonable. Yeah. So, you know, that's a story on Dixon. And I just let go of the page. So I'm going to end this screen recording. But now the parts are getting harder to find, but you can find, you know, a whole kit to, you know, rebuild the friction drive transaxle. And that means cones, one upper and one lower, and two sides have disc cups, and it's an action, and it looks kind of gyroscopic, but it works well. But it's a little tricky to you know, keep in adjustment, you know, not often, but once in a great while you go down the rabbit hole. You change the cones or something else, or little adjustments. But on the bench it's easier. You take it out and you really go through it, and there's a couple of tools you can use that are specialized, and it's great. So I went down that rabbit hole, but I wasn't going to change the cones. I had some new bushings, these rubber bushings that I hadn't put in before. I'd got them a few years ago, and I thought, no, I'm not going to put those in yet. But now I decided, yeah, while I'm going down the rabbit hole, let's go halfway down, you know, with the friction drive transaxle system. Let's pull it out, let's put those bushings in, let's give it all the bench adjustments, put it back in, and be happy. Okay, there's the half link. You can see it right there. And a master link right next to it. But that half link, I think I'm going to remove that, and that will probably cinch up that chain. There's some slop in the chain. It used to have an idler. I removed it probably a little too hastily, but that's what I did. And I put some fresh chain on there, and it didn't need the half link at that time, but then it stretched out, and then I shortened the chain, put the half link in there, and even I fabricated and developed some of my own idlers for a time, but they didn't have a lot of tension under there. You know, when you're going forward, it pulls and it's tight on top, but down below is where you have the idler happening. So I don't want an idler. I don't want you know, a gap, you know, when you go forward and then you back up, and there's a gap there. So I got these sprockets, and the inherent sprockets in the factory design is 9. Okay, it worked. I took I think it's a 12, and that's an 11. The 11 was on there. That's 11 teeth, I mean. I ground down the 12, and it's on there right now. And the chain is quite tight. I was able to walk it up there by, you know, reinstalling the tire loosely and just bear hugging it and turning it. And sure enough, the chain jumped on there, and it's quite tight now. But that's a good thing. Hopefully it won't be too stressful initially. It'll stretch out a little more. So I'm going to do the other side, but first I got to grind this other little sprocket, and that's a noisy, kind of a tedious process. But no, I got lucky. You know, it was able to get up on that sprocket. And now I noticed that the cones that were in there at the time, there was one that was worn a little more, actually a little bit more than the other one. The other one looked brand new. The other one looked about half worn. And I thought, no, I've got cones. I have 2 cones. I always like to keep 2 extra cones on hand, but I want to husband them. I want to, you know, because the price keeps going up on them. They're about $100 a piece now. They used to be $50 a piece when I was buying them, but then I bought them more recently at, I don't know, $80 a piece, and I just want to be a little stingy with them, so I didn't put them in. I put the bushings in, I did the adjustment, put the cluster, which is removable on these models. Mine's a 3304, and there's earlier Dixon models where the friction drive, transaxle, the cups and the disc and the cones are kind of built into the frame, the chassis, but this isn't that one. Mine has, and the ones that do have the hoop levers. Their transaxles are removable, and they were very pervasive in those model years, you know, the 90s and the early 2000s. So, you know, there's a lot of parts out there, new and used. So, but I didn't decide to put those cones in. But I had a problem when I put that cluster back in. I had custom made some pivot bolts. You know, I didn't like the way they had the Allen key usage to adjust those, and you know, it's just awkward getting in there. So I put a threaded rod with a hex head on it, and it just was a lot easier. And it lasted several years, but when I pulled it out, when I adjusted it, they have jam nuts, and it broke inside there right as it you know, faced up against this portion of the cluster, and I didn't see it. It wasn't loose. It had tension on it, so it couldn't be seen. It had broke undoubtedly in that adjustment process, but it was getting ready to. So when I put it in, I wasn't getting reverse on one side, and I, you know, looked at it, went round and round, and I uncovered it. That pivot bolt had broke. Now I had the factory ones still on hand, and I could have just shoved it in there, but no, I pulled it out of there and gave it the once over twice, and because it's not that difficult, at least for me, to take them out. You know, after you do it once, then you know, the second time it comes real quick. But at first it might seem a little daunting. You know, it looks like a gyroscope kind of a mechanism in there. But now I've gotten used to it. So I wasn't afraid to pull it out and really take a good look, make sure I touched all the bases. And so I found a nice stainless rodded bolt, 4 inches, full threads, stainless, 3/16 stainless, which is food grade, you know, stainless steel. So it's very hard, very tough, and much stronger than the previous one. And it had the hex head, so you just got to round the tip of it down about 5 threads, so it goes into this little cup, and then it pivots, like it's called a pivot bolt. So it's a little upgrade. You know, I like doing those little touches that add up to just a little better feel and maybe durability. Okay, I've decided to do it. To take out that whole transaxle mechanism, the friction drive, the cones, and the cups, just to put in these 4 bushings that for some reason I didn't put them in before, or I had them after I already did the cones. I forget. But there it is, and it's not that difficult, but this cross member is the parking brake mechanism, and that you got to take that out. There's another version, a little bit later model, where they modified that, and they made it a 2-piece thing, so it's easier to get around. But on this model year, that cross member has to come out before that can be removed. So, you know, it adds a little more complexity, but overall not a big deal. I just want it out of there, and I can give it a real good inspection before it all goes back together, because everything else is going well. That deck refurbished, and the engine's been given some real good, thorough, routine maintenance, so I might as well pull this thing out too. And I want to drop that little drive belt under there too and get a good look at it. It's probably fine, but I also want to get the measurements on that in the 5/8 width, how long they are, so I can put them down on that deck, denote their actual belt sizes, just for easier reference next time. But I wasn't, so I put it in for the second time, and I just wasn't liking the way it was running out, and so I thought, you know, maybe those two cones being a little different in their wear and usage, maybe I will put the cones in. So that's what I did. I pulled it out for the third time, and I put the new cones in, but I did something else that I've done in the past. I think every time I do, I flip it, you know, because it might wear on one cone more than the other, and it may be that you just make more right turns than left turns. I'm not sure. But the cradles, the cone on top, cone on the bottom, two cradle cups, you know, press up when you're going forward and back. Not the same. They don't both go. They go, So it's a little tricky in concept. But I decided to put the cones in and flip the cradles. They're the same part number. There's no right or left one. But it just seemed to me that maybe one was maybe a cast. It's cast iron, and then it's a machine. So maybe in the milling process, one went too heavy to one side or the other. So anyway, I flipped the cups, put it back together, you know, bench adjusted it, and ran out brilliantly right out of the box. I mean, I dropped it in there. I haven't adjusted it at all. I looked at the cones as I was testing it, and it's touching the cones, leaving little striation marks up and down it all around it, not concentrated only in one spot. So, you know, I was very confident that this is right on, and it's going to break in well. So if I ever need to make an adjustment, you know, early, soon, I'll wait till it breaks in on those cones first. And I'll mention, you know, beyond the factory tool for the bench adjustments, you can do some of the running adjustments with this too, certainly, but the bench, this is mostly for. But in addition to that, I've made some custom tools for getting into all these little areas that are, you know, you gotta have like monkey hands, and we do have monkey hands, but it's better to have tools plus monkey hands. And once you get that, you know, friction drive cluster settled back in the unit, and you've attached one or more of these lever joiners, I think they call them double ball joints or double tie rod connector, but I have one installed already. It's not adjusted, but once you get them in there, like I have the one in there, let me see if I can, yeah, there it is. And I've got it loosened up. There's a lock nut or a jam nut up top, but you turn the union, the joiner portion here to move the lever forward or back and get it centered in this hole right here. And I don't know if you can see, but it's off. It's a little off. You adjust it without even touching the levers, and it, as you turn that union, it'll fall right there. That's where you want it. But see, it doesn't do that right now. It leans a little forward. It's weighted a little forward. And I usually cinch these levers up, but for the adjustment, I loosen it so they fall right that way. That's supposed to be a safety feature. You're supposed to keep them loose like that, so if you let go, they'll drop and lock in those slots so it doesn't move. But to me, that's you know, a bother, because you know, I'll take my weed eater along with me and, you know, just zip off stuff as I ride on the mower. But with them loose, you know, that would drop the lever, and I like them to stay up in place even when I'm only pushing with you know, one arm on both levers. I don't want that other lever to drop out on me. So, but for the adjustment portion, yeah, I do. I leave them loose and wait for it as I rotate that little union and then it'll hit that slot, and then bingo, that's it. Then I'll tighten that little jam nut and be done with it. That's pretty much it, for the steps. But there's a lot of steps previous to that, and you should go to the other video if you came to this video thinking you'd get those. I got one that does all that. So I did. I've already mowed. I mowed. It's still March. There was some moisture last night, which was perfect. But and the Bermuda grass still isn't fully out of dormancy yet. But I mowed anyway. There was a mower crew that showed up next door, and I jumped on their bandwagon. So we made noise at the same time. So a little nicer on the neighborhood, and they don't have to hear 2 times the mower's going, just one big time. So yeah, it was groovy, baby, and with those bearings on the deck, the deck feels better. It didn't feel bad before, but it feels and sounds a little more plush, as well as the cones running out really well, the deck smooth, and nothing to say about the motor. It's always been good. But there was a couple of breather vents. One was the pulse line on the fuel pump that had developed a little bit of a leakage, and maybe some crankcase ventilation had spit a little bit of oily residue, and made it a little dirty spot there, and another spot behind the intake where the crankcase breather goes into. It wasn't fully seated into that little grommet hole area, so I got that in right correctly, and so the mower's the engine's gonna look cleaner in those 2 spots. Okay, I just had the drive belt arrive to me by a mail truck, and I still got one more to go, the mule belt to test the deck. So I'm not testing the deck, I'm testing the transaxle for those bench adjustments and the in-unit adjustments after I put this back in, and I'll just show you how that went, because it went well. I did it real quick, but you'll see when you put on the parking brake, it lets off the tension on that drive belt. But as you'll see, the tension's still snug enough. That belt will loosen up, stretch out a little, but the cones will still turn. I could cinch up those keepers a little tighter and probably prevent that, but it really doesn't matter. Once you've got the brake on, nothing's going to move, and I'll release the brake after it starts, and you'll see that the throttle response is real good, but still the cups don't turn. So here we go. I'm not getting anything in reverse for some strange reason. Okay, who would have guessed? These bolts that I made up because I liked a head on the end. It was easier than the factory ones that had just a little female Allen opening I just didn't like the action reaching down in when it's on the unit. So I fabricated these little babies up and welded it at the end, so I had a nice flanged head to work with, and it worked for 10 years now. But when I put it in the unit after doing that light refurb with these bushings, I just couldn't get the reverse to go properly. It was kind of perplexing. So I said, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole and just pluck that transaxle out again. And I discovered what the issue was. And it was, maybe it was faulty manufacturing on my part. But this is what I made for each one of these sides. And I made it a little longer, so I had a little more to grab onto out here. This is what the factory ones look like. They're a little shorter and stubbier, and they do the same thing, but they don't hang out as much. And you wonder sometimes, ooh, am I gonna have enough threads still showing to know what I'm doing? But anyway, what happened is I started out with just threaded rod. And, it worked great. And it, I could put another one in there with a little better tensile strength on the steel. See, this one broke. It broke. It was hidden right inside there, and it broke right in there, and it was still buried in this little socket for it. But you couldn't see the break. It was right in between. Right in between there. So, I thought, uh-oh, did I throw those old ones, these two old ones away? Do I still have them, or am I going to have to just fab up some more of this kind of action? And I'd redo both of them. Since this one broke, if I was going to do it again, custom, I would. I'd do them both with harder material, but I'm just going to go back to these factory ones. I don't like them as well, but they're harder material. I didn't throw them away. I have them, and they're going back in. So it's really a nice coincidence, actually, that I went in for the deep dive and took a second look, and sure enough, there was an issue, because I thought I had all the bench adjustments spot on, and I did, but I was fighting some broken hardware, and so we're going to fix that, or I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to replace it with the OEM stuff. Okay, here we are. It's still the month of February. There's an early spring. It's quite nice outside, but I've been kind of in a holding pattern, because I put these OEM pivot bolts back in, and you can see they've got the Allen key at the end, but even in the initial setting up to the cones, it doesn't leave any threads to speak of hanging over, and I could probably use it, and undoubtedly 99% of the Dixon users do, but I made my own, and you saw one of them broke after about 10 years, and so I just went down the same path I did before in getting some stainless rod and some nuts to go on there, and I just TIG weld them, fire up the TIG welder and cut this and round off the tips, and then I'd have a hex head hanging off here, which I prefer. But after the one broke and I put this back up, I just decided again how much I don't like this. And so I did. I ordered these items here, but the rod, I put 1 day shipping on it, and they kept delaying, telling me, I think there was some kind of a wind incident down in the Dallas area where it was coming from in North America, and it was about 2 weeks went by, and they said, listen, you can request a refund, and I did, and about a week later, the rod still showed up, and I didn't have to pay for it. But I bought these in the meanwhile. These are hex head, fully threaded 4-inch bolts at 7/16 coarse thread, and so this is a more elegant solution than the rod. So I got these about, the same time I got that rod, and so I'm going to use this. So I won't belabor that point much more, but that's why I've been kind of slow to roll on this, because I've been waiting for the. Okay, here we are with the transaxle out again, and the two cups removed, and I'm looking at the the cones that were in there, and it's interesting. These are brand new cones, and it looks like about 7/16 is what you get as a skirt on these. And you know, this lower one is right about there. This upper one is a little less. So interestingly, the top took more wear than the bottom. Not by much, but it's noticeable. And you know, it makes me second guess whether to put these in or not, because you know, the bottom one's almost like a new one. But these are a little uneven, so you know, I'm guessing that might be a little bit of my issue. You know, I could try to be sneaky and maybe flip these cones, but in the literature it says, you know, never do that. Never just replace one cone. I'm going to cough that cough away here pretty soon, but no biggie. So, you know, not to be super cheap and try to flip them, and you know, I'll just put some new ones in, and it gives me a good idea of what, it's been about 8 years. Here's the old literature on the cones I purchased after I put these new ones in, and this was 8 years ago. It was $160, so they're about $80 a piece. No tax, there was some shipping, but you know, these aren't that costly. They used to be $50 a piece, then they were $80 a piece. Now I think they're $100 a piece, but you know, if I'm lucky or unlucky, I may never have to replace these after I put them in. So I'm going to put them in. I'm not going to have them sit on the shelf, you know, and somebody find them in my estate and say, oh, how much you want for these? So they're going in. I think I've just now decided. But I'm going to flip the cups as well, because I don't know how this can happen. Maybe it's because you make more right turns, but like I said, you know, on the levers, they're obverse on the levers. When you're going forward, one cup will hit the top of this one side or the other side, and then the other one will press up against the underside one to go forward, and the opposite for backwards. So yeah, I might as well do it. I've got the new cones. I'm here. It's now, and it's going to happen. Yeah, even though those bearings on the center shaft seem fine, quiet and everything, I did pluck one of these seals off, and it looks like the thickening agent in the grease is kind of caking up a little bit. So I'm going to rinse these out with solvent and repack them real good with some red and tacky Lucas grease. But just while I'm there, I might as well do it. I'm not going to change the bearing. I'm just going to repack them. Okay, there they are. You know, lubed up, repacked. I cleaned them out with gasoline and compressed air, but interestingly, I didn't remove the bearing, and that means the seal on the underside was left in there while I was cleaning it, because as you can see, you can't get the seal out from the backside, and you can't knock the bearings out either without damaging them, because only the inner race you have access to behind each one of these up and down. So if I tried to knock these out, I would damage them, because you gotta hit these bearings to knock them out on the outside race. If you do them on the inside, it transmits force and stuff, and it ruins them. You know, going in, it's easy. I mean, you know, you don't damage them because you knock on the outside outer race. But to take them out, that means they're toast. You got to replace them. So that's what I did. I tried to be sneaky and just do them while they're still installed, so I don't damage them. And I think it's going to be quite effective. But you know, these type of seals are easy to remove and reseal. Oh yeah, it's too premature in saying that, but yeah, they do. They go back in there, and these bearings are sometimes called sealed bearings, and honestly, they're not really, because the seals snap. Let me grab a tool here. to demonstrate a little bit. But the seals are sealed. They snap on the outside here. This inner portion, it's not a true seal. It's just, it spins. While this is stationary, this spins, so something's got to give, and it's right here. This is, the seal stays stationary. So, this is just open, really. There's a little tiny crevice there that means it's not truly sealed. So, I do spindles and stuff, and, like I did earlier on the deck, I put the Zerk fitting, and, some people say, the grease isn't going to get in a bearing because the bearing's sealed, and, not doing nothing. Well, it is. This little crevice on either side, if you put pressure, some people say, if you do that, you gotta put a little relief bolt hole, for the grease to go out, or it'll blow out the seals or something. Nah. Now, these seals are permeable. If you've got a little forced grease pressure from a Zerk gun, the grease will get in there. Not on this particular, but I just wanted to mention, this isn't really a true seal bearing. None of them are. Okay, out with the old and in with the new. Those are the new cones. They're on the shaft, and I'm glad I did it now. And, I tacked that. Actually, I filled in with weld the nut on top, and for good reason. If you ever do one of these, you'll quickly understand. But and I packed the bearings on this because these cones spin about the same exact RPMs as the engine, the motor. It goes up to about 3,100, 3,200. I got it detuned a little bit, so I don't need it going full RPMs. But this pulley down here is about the same as on the crankshaft under the motor. It's a vertical one, of course, and so it's the same RPMs. These babies are spinning at 3,200 RPMs on my unit, and so it was good that I repacked those, because that's a lot of heat and a lot of wear for them, and just from the cakiness of the grease that were in these, I went ahead and did that. But you might ask, well, what about the disc cups? They're bearings too. They need love, and not really, because they spin at almost exactly the same RPMs as the driven rear wheels too, and that's only 100 or less RPMs on them. So they spin fine. They're quiet. They're silky smooth, and so they haven't taken much heat or much wear, and they're all good. Plus, driving bearings out of this cast iron cradle, you want to be real careful, because an impact can create a crack real quickly in cast metal. I got a neighbor right around the corner. He came to me and said, "You got any extra cradles?" Because he's got a unit exactly like mine. And I said, "No, I ain't got no extra cradles, but let me take a crack at it with the TIG welder and some stainless filler." And I did it. I did a video on it too. You can look it up. But he's using it to this day. It's been great. So you got to be careful with this. Now on his, he dropped it in his shop, and it broke right here, and on one of these little fork fingers for the torque rod bushing area. But it's all good again. But I have no need to fiddle with these, but I'm glad I did do the center shaft ones, because those babies are spinning. They are spinning, baby. These ones, not so much. 100 RPMs or less, and so they've been babied their whole life. But I put those new bearings in there 15 years ago or more, when I first bought that Dixon used, and it's been great. But it takes a little tinkering, and I'm kind of deep in the super cycle of maintenance, and so you get a peek at that. It's not, the by the book, step by step. You're getting a feel for, what I experience, I think. Okay, and here we go. I'm reassembling this, and I noticed earlier when I was doing the adjustment that these torque rods, they call these torque rods, and I actually fabricated this rod here. I just put a nut on the end of it, but this is stainless steel all thread because it broke. After I first bought this like 15 years ago used, I had a problem. Not immediately, but at some point early after I bought it, and this torque rod was broke, and I couldn't see it from up top. You can't see what's going on, and I wasn't real familiar with this thing yet. But anyway, I decided to put some new cones in there anyway, and just go down the rabbit hole and take it apart. And I did. Put the cones in, fixed this torque rod, and it's been great, for 15 years. But I also fabbed up this little rod that secures it, and these are held at the bottom in this way. But over the years, you see how jumbly jangly that is. That can give a false reading. If you're, really dialing this in and you got the right bushing tension and everything, this still has some slop and play because it's worn in that exact spot. So I could either fill this and drill it more to this, or I could just do some build up around the two areas where these two torque rods fit down under there. But see all that? That's false reading territory. Not by much, but I think I'm going to do it. I'm just going to build up a little bit in those low spots, those little divots all the way around. Grind it down so it's nice and snug, but still it has to allow a little bit of play and movement, but not quite that much. So that's what I'm doing. A little modification, a little finessing, and massaging it into a tighter tolerance. Okay, I did build up this little shaft, and it worked well on one, and it has to go through the block, so it can't be too big and blobbered on to make it, a tighter tolerance. So I discovered that this one was just wallered out more, so I put a dab of ER70 mild steel on this one, because I don't want this to, wear on the rod so much, because I did the rod build up with some stainless, so it won't get divoted out, and this one will give the wear more so. But this one was more wallered out than this one. This one's fine. Tolerance is nice. No real slop in there. But this one had slop anyway. To get it to go through that block there, I couldn't just keep building it up, so I had to come back to this one, and where is it? There. I'll put a little dab in there, and I'll go in with the Dremel and kind of smooth that out, and then it'll be groovy, baby. Okay, and here maybe three's the charm. Undoubtedly this will go in fine. Now, with those new cones, I'm glad I kind of went round and round. The first time, just to put these bushings in, I just took the whole cluster out just to put these in and give that a once over, because, it was time just to do that, and or so I thought. And then when I put it in, I had the trouble with these pivot bolts, and so I put together one I like better than the factory stuff. Stainless steel, has a hex head. I like them better that way. So that went in, but I still wasn't happy with the adjustment. After putting those in, putting the bushings in the first time, then the pivot bolts the second time, so I plucked it out again and just took the deep dive and replaced the cones, because they were wearing unevenly. It wasn't until I actually took the cradles off and looked at the cones and thought, yeah, that's a little peculiar that, one wore quicker than the other. Could be just I make the right turns and rely. These disc cups, they do it, diagonally. They don't both turn in the same direction, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I got the new cones in, and I like it better already. And as you can see, the bushings seem a little more even in their tension, and all the threads, showing are pretty even. And it, you can see they spin. This one's just a little draggy, but really the tolerance right here is what I like the best. When you tap it, you can hear it hitting the bottom cone. When you pull up, you can hear it tapping. So it's real tight. And this 50 thousandths tolerance is all good. That's why, you get a little drag, but barely any. It's going to break in real well, and, everything's perpendicular. But sometimes your surface you're using, that's why I tried to clamp it up closed here so it's not kind of teetering off this thing. But I did double check to see if everything's, not gone askew somehow with a tape measure, simple tape measure. Just, these two measurements. It's not in the literature, but, if it's skewed somehow, you're going to want to go back and even that up. So yeah, it is ready, and it's got the new cones in it. So, I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to kind of conserve on the cones, but no, it was the right thing to do, and here I am doing it. So it's going back in here shortly. So here it is. The deck is on, and I don't know if I mentioned, it's marked all the different sizes, the drive belt, the deck belt, the mule belt. These I increased to 5/8, so they're not, what the OEM belts would be. That deck doesn't even go to this. And if I didn't mention it, this originally was a 3304 model, and they had another model that was a 3314 that had, I believe, this same deck on it. I just happened to find one for cheap, 20 bucks used, and I put it on here some years ago, and it's been great. I did, put a twin motor on. A year later, I used the single, and it worked pretty well, but the motor was old, and it kind of got the rings of smoke. But anyway, the deck's on, and the new bearings are in the deck. The cones are in. Everything's done, I believe. I think I showed you the striations or the marks where the I'm not going to wear these because I'm going to start it in the garage here, and it'll make it noisier, but I want to hear all the noise of the deck itself, how quiet it is. And but yeah, there's those cones. You see those striations? It means it's breaking in. So any little adjustments, I'll wait till it breaks in. And these levers, I could touch them up a little bit in their adjustment. But we're checking the deck, for how quiet and smooth. Now these are all new belts, and so when you get a belt in a package, it's looped around, figure-eighted and ovalized, and they've got a little hump that until that belt breaks in, you might hear a little hump. It's not where a smoked belt has a divot in the belt. It's just that it's new. Okay, parking brake is on. Let's start it. Okay, there's a little chatter from the armature mechanism, but really felt I was feeling around and a lot less vibration. That little chatter sound is under the deck there. There's that arm has a little jingly jangly, but smooth, very nice. And even those belts didn't seem to chug, hitting their ovalized, packaged, shape that they first install with. Now, belt's good, bearings good, deck smooth, baby. Very nice. Okay, so I'm ready. The springtime temperatures have warmed up, but still, my Bermuda grass is, it's a little slow out of the gate, so I don't have anything to cut yet, but I will. I'll circle around outside, and you can see it run and, potentially cut. But yeah, I did. I really leveled those blades, and, I got about a 1/4-inch rake forward. So, and the blades are nice and sharp. So this baby is done. I mean, it is ready, and it should be really sound for another several years without having to go down the proverbial rabbit hole or another maintenance super cycle. So, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. Livingstone here, and the project is complete. The cones run out straight, even without any adjustment yet. I'm going to let the cones and the cups break in together, and then I might do some fine tuning. But I'll run it. I've already mowed. I mowed yesterday, and we're still in March. The Bermuda grass hasn't fully come out of dormancy, but I cut anyway, cleaned it up. I heard another mower crew going, so I just jumped in at the same time so it doesn't make as much noise in the neighborhood. So anyway, I'll run it out so you can see it tracking. I'll turn the deck on, and so you can see how those bearings, if they're quieter. To me, they're quieter and smoother. This feels a lot more plush because of the cones, the transaxle system, and because of the deck bearings. So it's an improvement. I'm not gonna get too giddy about it on camera here, but I am. I'm kind of giddy about it. Let me get some earplugs. So yeah, I'm happy with it. Like I said, did I say it? It's still March. It's a little cool today. There was some moisture overnight today, which was perfect. I mowed yesterday, and that'll help the Bermuda wake up a little more too. So it's been great. The winter was great, and now the spring's going to be great. And the mower has got its maintenance super cycle done. So I'm digging it, man. I mean, spring is good. It's part of my rental agreement for maintaining the grounds here, and I have a free hand to put up all this landscaping here. Nothing There, 8 years ago when I moved here, there was nothing taller than a blade of grass, and I put most of the blades of grass here too. I got some more grass to seed on this side too. Otherwise, yeah, that's the completion, successful completion of both the engine, you know, maintenance, and I found a couple of little issues, nothing big, and but the deck too. The deck got a complete refurbish, and so did the transaxle, that friction cones drive that Dixons were known for. They came out with hydro units too, but then Husqvarna bought Dixon, and then they just discontinued it. It went away, and like I'll show you on the video, I'll take some clips of you know how eBay still has parts. There's no website parts anymore for Dixon, but eBay has some sellers who, you know, I don't know if they bought the machine that creates the cones. So, you know, the cones are still out there. They're still being made, and they're in good supply with all the other little things to refurbish a transaxle. Now, there's some other, you know, unique parts to a Dixon, you know, friction drive mower system that can be real hard to find. You might have to fabricate or machine up something. I don't know. I'm no machinist, but I can fabricate a little bit and make things happen. So, and you can buy used too. You can buy parts. You'll find these for sale. I have a friend who said, "Hey, my grandfather had one of those in his out in the yard, and you want it? We're just going to scrap it." I don't know. Take a picture. Let me see it first. So, and there's people who see me with this mowing, and then they'll come around and say, "Yeah, I got me a hydraulic unit, but I used to have a Dixon. It's still out back. You know, you give me $100 for it." You know, you get that kind of stuff. All right, peace be with you. Super cycle, the mower engine, the mower deck, and the mower transaxle, they've all got the once over at least once, and it should go well for several years now, as it has in the past. I think I bought that mower, I don't know, 14 years ago, used. But you can get them. Like I might have mentioned, I've got people who occasionally mention to me that, you know, they've got one they want to unload. So you can get parts that way, and I'll show you how on eBay there's still parts available. So you can save some money. You know, if you don't want to buy a new or used hydraulic unit, they usually cost a little bit. These ones are, you know, cheap to obtain, cheap to maintain, but they're a little tricky up front. It takes you a little while to get your head around them, and then, you know, decide to, yeah, let's do the deep dive. Let's just pull it out, start with some new cones and refurbish. So I've got other videos on how to do that in a comprehensive way. This is just an overview. This is just a sharing of my personal mower, how I'm doing on it, with it, and any tips, you know, you can, you know, grab along the way for the Dixon mower fans out there. You know, I think I'm about the only guy out there on YouTube or the internet putting out stuff like this, because there's just not much out there. I wish there were some Dixon engineers or Dixon dealer technicians that come out of the woodwork and say, "This is how you really do it. You know, we're kind of old, but we've seen it all." You know, nobody like that. Just me. I'm self-taught. I'm not an engineer or mechanic, but, you know, I've learned some things, and I think they're worth learning for guys like me who, you know, want. I paid $500 for this thing all those years ago, and it hasn't been expensive to keep up, but I've tricked it out. I've poured a little more money into it than it probably warrants, but I enjoy it. So there you have it. This probably won't be the outro. I'll on where I demo the mower after it's complete. I think I'll use that as the outro. Maybe I'll use this. I don't know. But either way, peace be with you all.